Hello everyone, this is Leeway Model. Today we're going to take a look at solar charge controller. What does it has to do with model trains and what's a solar charge controller? Well, the first question is pretty simple. It has absolutely nothing to do with model train. Unless you want to solar power your model train, obviously. Now, what does it do in life? It's pretty easy. Those machines, okay, they are between a solar panel and a battery. Now, for people who don't know, if you were to hook a solar panel directly to a battery, it would provide power. It would charge it just well. Has no way of knowing when the battery is full. Would overcharge it, would damage it, or worse. So you don't want that. But during the night, it's the other way around. People may not know that during the night, solar panels are actually using energy. So these devices are made to prevent the battery from unloading its power into the solar panel during the night and making sure during the day that the battery does not get overcharged by the solar power by constantly monitoring and sending the appropriate amount of energy to it. Now, all of these solar controllers are of the PWM technology. Now, for people that are a bit used to solar, they're going to know that the PWM technology is the one that is not as high-tech or efficient as the more expensive, I should say, MPPT technology. Still, I was asked by a good friend what was the difference between those four units. This is the complete line of the Renogy PWM controllers. So instead of just, making him a little video, sending him through messengers or whatever, I just decided to, do a video and share the information because there's no good source of information anywhere on the internet right now concerning this lineup. All of those charge controllers are made by Renogy, and I ended up acquiring, for a reason I'm going to explain later, the whole line. Yeah, literally this is the whole line. There's one missing here. I have it somewhere installed right now, and but it's identical to one I have here, so it doesn't really matter. So PWM charge controller, they have bad press because they're not as technologically advanced, they're not as efficient, but they have one big advantage: they're dirt cheap. Or that's what, if you think about looking at different reviews, you will hear. Today we're going to see that they're not all dirt cheap. But if you want to go dirt cheap, you can really go dirt cheap. This is a solar charge controller by the internationally known company, solar charge controller, I guess. Anyway, this model is W88-A, and it's good for both 12 and 24 volts. I'm not sure. Okay, you can see better now. And it's rated for 10 amps. The number I really want you to take a look at is this one here, the 130 watt. Why is that? Pretty simple. Because a lot of time when you're going to decide which charge controller you're going to select, this is the number that really interests you. I have this amount of solar panel. I wanted to be able to work with my battery, so how much solar panel can I put on this or that charge controller? Anyway, this thing was $2 plus $4 of shipping, so a total of $6. So those $6 hard-earned dollars are actually Canadian dollars. So if you live in the US, you can probably get this for $4 at your house. Now, all prices I'm going to mention today are in Canadian dollars, just as a reference point. If you want to do the conversion, feel free to do it. I may or may not do it depending on how involved I am with this video, really. So here I have four models. The main difference that you're going to find between one of those cheapies and those here is going to be not necessarily with the efficiency of the thing, but with the feature that it has, and also with the general confidence I would have that it would not catch fire. They do make this $2 controller, okay? Well, let's just say $6 because, you know, actually pay for shipping. If you pay $1 more, you can have it for 20 amps. If you pay another $1 more, you can have it for 30 amps. And then it stops at somewhere around $10 plus the $4 shipping, so $14, where it says that you're able to accept something like 100 amps in there. I don't trust it. I do not believe in this. And I mean, look at 100 amp charge controllers, the price that they are, they're not $14. So before I finally take this away and hopefully don't see it for the rest of the review, I just wanted to give you an overview of what you can get for $2. This is good for 10 amps, so 120 watt of solar panel. It does have 2 USB plugs, which believe it or not, actually works. I've tested this. And it gives you have 3 buttons with an LCD display to show you the status, if it's charging, discharging, and at what rate. But yeah, don't take a look at this. There's actually a couple of spelling mistakes in there, which is both funny and sad. So if you find them, just put them in the comment. I think it's going to make everybody laugh. There is a bunch of terminals here where you would hook up your wire. And here you have both terminals for your solar panels, like the plus and minus. Same for your battery here. And then you have a load terminal. Now, what's a load terminal? It allows you to set this unit in a certain way that you can turn the load on or off, which is basically the electricity gets in there, gets out to the battery, and then if you turn this on, it's going to start taking the electricity generated by the panel. If there's not enough, it's going to take some in the battery, and that's how you would, you know, feed a light or something like this that you would program to turn on at night or something like that. This is just an example. I did use the load terminal in the first van build I did, which was, you know, pretty interesting because once nothing worked, you wonder what's going on up until you remember you did that. This little charge controller here is made by Renogy, like all the other one that we're going to see today. What's the difference between the cheapie and that one? Well, I could be very clever and just tell you $24, because this thing cost $29 and is actually lighter than this by 2 grams. This is 180 grams. This is 116 grams. It costs again $29. That's Canadian, so you can guesstimate about $23 US. What do we have on this that we don't have on the other one? Well, first of all, they're both rated at 10 amps, so this does not change. We both have 6 terminal here, which are the exact same ones: solar panel, battery, and the load terminal thing. But we actually get a button less, which, you know, seems weird at first. It's just that whatever this thing does, this can do everything with 2 buttons. So anyway, what about the USB plug? Yes, they're right underneath, which I think is a more intelligent way of putting them, because this, if you drop something on your wall or something, you're just gonna rip the USBs out of there. Anyway, you may also notice that we have what looks like, actually I'm not even sure that at this day and age people are all gonna get the reference, but this looks like a telephone cord plug. If you're old, you know what this is. If you don't know what this is, well, I guess I'm getting old. This is because you can plug an optional accessory to this, which is this here, the BT1 Bluetooth adapter. Okay, and that Bluetooth module actually allows you to monitor this from a phone for a 10 amp, $30 Wanderer, like the Renogy Wanderer. That's a really nice feature to have for such a low price. But there's a catch. Yes, there is. This is $35. This is $30. So by the end of this, you're at $65. But maybe not. Again, I acquired all of these things. And spoiler alert, I did not pay for any of them. I'll tell you how at the end of the video. Okay, so we have that 10 amp unit. It's good for both 12 and 24 volts. It is very, very small. It's actually even smaller than the cheaper unit if I just put it on top here. Yeah, I know I've said that we were gonna get rid of this, but seems like, you know, it just keeps serving a purpose other than making me laugh, right? The idea behind this is that it's a very small footprint. It generates very little amount of heat. Think about all those features I told you. It has an LCD screen. It has a load terminal. It has 2 USB ports. It can be communicated with a Bluetooth module to be informed of on your phone of the current status of it. It's actually pretty funny because you can turn your load terminal on and off, so you can actually plug your a light on this and turn it on or off directly on your phone. On that super cheap, small device. If you have 120 watts of solar panels or less, this is a fantastic little device. And I really like it. It was in my first van build, which was very, very simple. And so far, I've recommended that one to a couple of people that I know that, you know, had very, very basic uses. And fortunately, it served its purpose pretty well. Okay. So 12, 24 volts, 10 amp. Now, I'm gonna go in terms of price increase. And you're gonna see it's not necessarily because something costs more that it has more feature. Sometimes it's just a compromise between things which are better and things which are, you know, different features. And before I move on, I realized I forgot to tell you one of the major things why you would not necessarily get this and you would get one of these. So I'm sorry for that, but I'm putting it right there. This works only with lead batteries. And when I say lead batteries, I'm talking about the flooded. I'm talking about the SLAs, like sealed lead acid batteries, and also gel batteries. It only works with those 3. These also work with lithium batteries. And let's just face it, in this day and age, lithium batteries are almost the same price as lead acid batteries. So the fact that lead batteries were cheaper than lithium batteries is almost not true anymore. But, you know, some people still believe in lead batteries. That's what they've always used. That's what they wanted to use. Anyway, we're not going to get in that debate right now. Just know that all of those controllers, even if they're all PWM, they're all compatible with lithium batteries, and you can, in the menu, select the lithium batteries on this. So $29, 116 grams. Let's move to the next unit. So of all of those units, in terms of prices, the one that's slightly more expensive is this one. So the Wanderer. Wait a second, we just looked at the Wanderer. Yeah, but this is the Wanderer 30 and this is the Wanderer 10. Okay, where is it written? Well, pretty simple. It's written on that label on the side here. So if this one was 10 amp, you can pretty much guess that this one, because it's the Wanderer 30, is 30 amps. And you would be right. If I look behind it, it says that the current it can support is 30 amps at 12 volts. Hey, wait a second. This one was compatible 12 and 24 volts. What about this one? Yeah, you're right. It's not compatible with 24 volt. So whatever you do, this is 12 volt. Only 12 volt for the battery system anyway. Now you're gonna see here that it supports up to 400 watt of solar panel. Now for the people with a PhD in maths here, or maybe a PhD in electricity, actually, I don't know why you're looking at the video, but let's just pretend you are. You're gonna calculate this and you're gonna say, hey, that doesn't work. 30 amps times 12 volts, that's 360, not 400 watt, which is true. But this is the output. It does support 35, I think. Anyway, it supports slightly more in the input. Also, your solar panel are never gonna really generate the whole 400 watts that they say that they are rated for. Unless you have a very, very sunny day down south with your solar panel at the exact right angle. Anyway, back to the Wanderer 30. Now this is a more recent version of it. It's actually the Wanderer 30 Li, which stands for lithium, because it's compatible with, again, both those types of batteries, the sealed, the gel, and the flooded, but also lithium. Now there's no screen on this, but there's that button here. It actually do a pretty nice click, okay? And that button, what does it do? If you look in the manual, it actually allows you to select between all of those types of batteries, and in the end, whatever your technology of battery is, if it's lithium, just make sure that it gets, like, you press on it till it gets blue, and then there you go, that's it. Now it does not have a screen. Those other ones, if you have an error message, it will display it on screen, but it does have a series of LEDs. And those LEDs, if you look in the manual, they do tell you that, okay, well, if it's solid green, that the terminal PV stands for a photovoltaic, so the solar panel terminal has a low output, right? So there is some other codes in there that's gonna basically tell you that what's going on with it. However, a couple of different things. And this is where it gets surprising. Now, this unit only supports 12 volt, does not support 24. Also, if you look here, there's 6 terminals, which we have explained previously. There's only 4 here. Why is that? Because there's no load control on this. So you're going to need a separate distribution panel if you want to be able, or switch or something, to be able to control the load. Also, you do have the same jack here for, actually it goes the other way around, for your Bluetooth module here, okay? So you can monitor what's going on in there if you have a phone and that Bluetooth module, but again, this sometimes can be as high as $40, I've seen it, but you know, price moves up and down slightly, but you can guesstimate it around 30-35 bucks. So you're still around, you know, we're talking about 40 plus 35, so you're talking about 75 bucks, right? So you gotta keep that in mind if you want to use this option. Also, there is this here. This is a small thermometer here, and that thermometer, you actually stick it on the side of a battery, and it will know what temperature it is, and then provides the appropriate current to optimize the charging, and maybe it won't even charge it if it's too cold. The thing is, those thermometers, they're useful for batteries with lead technology. With lithium, you don't care about it. The battery management module that you will find inside the battery, which is like a little computer that monitors and send the charge to the individual sections of the batteries, that will take care of it, and it's not required for that. Also, if you put it in lithium, it will just not take the reading. So this is what you have for $39. Again, how much did I pay for this? Nothing. Tell you later why. If we're going slightly up in price again, we're gonna take a look at the Voyager here. Now the Voyager may seem like a downgrade from other device that we've seen so far, unless you see why you have this. It is a very specialized charge controller. Again, it's PWM technology, like all the one that you're seeing here. But the Voyager, actually, if you look at it, it's very, very different in terms of look from all the other units that we have around. First of all, yep, it's waterproof. And when I say it's waterproof, if you look behind this one here, you see that shiny metal thing there? What's that? Boing, boing, boing. I think this is silicone or something. Everything is in like a very rubbery thing, and I don't know if you can see it on the cameras, but you can see actually the way it was poured in there. So there's a circuit board that is poured into that non-conductive sealant. I think it's silicone, I'm not 100% sure. And also you have some different terminal here. So if you look here, well, very different from what we've been used to so far. That's because you need some little either forks or sorry, I have an English word missing here, but like a loop at the end of your cable to be installed and crimped on it to be able to secure this on those screws. And then, I mean, it's waterproof, but I mean, I wouldn't put this underwater. I would most probably put this outside, which is actually what I did. And then at the very end, you have this that you put on it so as water not to really splash on it. You also have different types of connection here. That is also for another of those thermometer here. Now this one, I don't know if I said the price. If not, I'm just gonna say it is $49 and weighs 269 grams. So about the same as this one here, as the Wanderer 30 amps. Yes, it's more expensive. You do have a lot less inputs than if you look at this one or that one. There is no way to monitor this with Bluetooth. You do have a screen and you can select the type of battery directly on the screen itself. Also, nice click buttons here. You do have some sort of plastic that is stuck on top as to cover the buttons and everything. This one I have never used it. This is actually the 20 amp version, but there is an identical unit that is a 10 amp version that I also did not really pay. That I found, not that I found, but that I installed in a specific application in marine use. So that is, that's pretty much it. That's a very simple one. Main feature of this one, it is waterproof. If you don't need the waterproofing part of this, I suggest you look at other of the devices here. Which brings us to our last contender here, which is the most expensive one that you have on screen right now. As of today, this unit is $59 and it weighs 444 grams. And you know, $59, you're talking about more than 40 bucks US. Again, they all have shipping included and they're in these offerings, so I mean, you don't need to add anything. Now, the Adventurer, some people think it's too expensive. If you decide to add the Bluetooth module, which is compatible with it, you have to add another $35 to it. So it brings it, you know, it's like $60 plus $35. You're talking about $95 for a PWM charge control. You know, you have some MPPT controller which are in that price range, really. But the thing is, this one, it does have a couple of pretty nice features that comes in this, which honestly I have very rarely, if any. Actually, I don't even recall that I've seen all these features in a PWM charge controller. I'm not saying they don't exist, I'm just saying that I never came across one. So if you know of one, just write it in the comments. I mean, that's something that I am definitively interested in. So let me show you another neat trick it has. So far we've looked at boxes, like old boxes, boxes, boxes. And all of those times, I mean, you would bolt this directly on the surface. Well, this one can be flush mount. If you remove this part here, there you go, it can be flush mount. And it will give you something that looks like this, right? It actually looks pretty decent. I really like the way the aesthetics of it once it is flush mount. It, you know, it looks like it's a good machine or a serious piece of kit. But like, we're not really interested into the design of these things. We want to know if they work well. But you know, if you are having, let's say, a camper, you want to put this in a partition, I mean, you can probably do it with this one and have a, you know, a good finish on it. Things I want to point out. To get some of the features that were present in the Wanderer, we have to jump all the way to this unit, which means like a USB port. Yeah, and even the Wanderer, like the small one, it has two, this one has one. Other thing than that, it does have an LCD screen with the same general idea on how you would configure this. It is compatible also with lithium, compatible with 12 volt and 24 volt. So all of these, all those three are compatible with 12 and 24, except this one. It is not waterproof, unlike that one, okay? And it also has a 30 amp capacity. So the way I see this, take this and that, you have this. Almost. Still no load control. If you're looking at here, I only have 4 of the terminals for the connections, 2 for the okay, there you go. 2 for the solar array, 2 for the batteries. But here we got a bunch of interesting things. Yes, you can connect this to that. We've already talked about it. You can also have your temperature sensor in there. But you can also have a remote for the battery, which is going to measure directly at the battery pole what is the voltage of it. It's a much more precise way of measuring the voltage. So I feel like the Adventurer has a bit of a crisis of identity because it has a whole bunch of features. It's pretty neat. It looks good. It anyway, this look is pretty personal. I understand that, but all in all, I think it's a serious contender. But it's not using the right battery charging technology. Like the PWM versus MPPT might be its main weakness. And also, like the prices, like it's seriously, this is twice the price of the smaller unit there. By the way, all of those charge controllers, they all come in boxes with instruction manual. Like I show you this one here. I also have the Voyager one, and the Wanderer 10 amp is here, and the Adventurer is probably somewhere else. But they all have their mounting hardware in those boxes, and I told you that I did not pay for any of these. Obviously, I didn't steal them, and probably you think there's a gimmick somewhere, and you would actually be right. The fact is that depending on sales and prices, it is often cheaper to buy these in kits with solar panel than to individually buy the solar panel themselves. As an example, I just purchased a kit that had this in there. The kit was $179 and came with 200 watt solar panels, rigid solar panel in aluminum, which are being installed in one of my projects. And if you're interested in that project, I can, try and make a little video about it. I'm installing them on a camp. So if you were to purchase those solar panels individually refurbished, you'll be looking at around $100 per panel. So the kit came with 2, was $179, which was actually cheaper to purchase with the charge controller. And that's why I got a whole bunch of them that basically allowed me to do a little demonstration for you on what was the difference between those. Now the big question is, should you get a PWM instead of an MPPT controller? What I like with PWM, because they are so simple, they don't have any finicky configuration other than the battery type. They don't have like cycles, and like they have, like, yes, they do have, but it's all, pre-programmed and everything. You can pretty much put them in places where if it doesn't really matter if it gets stolen. I mean, it's a couple of bucks, and like I told you, I think I have like 2 of these, 2 of these, 3 of these, and 2 of these. So I mean, they they actually are pretty inexpensive. Just by comparison, let me just show you this here. Now this is another product by Renogy. It is much beefier, much thicker. It is one of their basic MPPT charge controller. This one is 20 amp, but they also make a 40 amp one. It's from the Rover Elite series, and the Rover Elite series was basically, actually I'm not exactly sure what it was. It just was smaller than the regular Rover series, but I'm not sure they're making it anymore. So just to give you an idea, this thing is super heavy. It has a massive heatsink underneath. It's rated for 20 amp, which is the same as this one. And also, if I'm looking at my little sheet here with all my stats, it's 743 grams as opposed to, you know, the Adventurer being the heaviest one at 444 grams. So I mean, this is almost twice the weight of my heaviest PWM controller. So depending on the use, if you're doing something excessively light, like if you're installing this on a bicycle, don't laugh, I've seen that, right? This has to be taken into account. And also, my most expensive unit here, the absolute top of the line, okay, we're still talking about PWM, the Adventurer here, it was retail at $59, although I didn't pay anything for it because of that trick I told you about. Also, that Rover Elite thing, you still need to pay extra if you want to get the Bluetooth thingy. It's not this one, it's a different one, but you know, it's... So, you're talking about $169. It's much, much more expensive. And I'm gonna go as far as to say, for the price of the Rover Elite that you have over there, yes, these are more basic, they're not as efficient, they're not as that. I wouldn't really discard them, because if you have the space in terms of pricing, that kit that I told you about was $10 more for 200 watts of solar panel and the controller versus just purchasing this. So I'm not saying you should get this. I'm not saying these are too expensive and all of that. And in my, in my personal stuff, I do have MPPT stuff more often than not. But I would not completely discard the PWM one, especially if you've got enough space. And also, you can add many of these on the same battery bank. Like if you listen to certain people, they say, no, it's just one charge controller per battery bank and you shouldn't be doing anything more than that. That's not true, right? You can put a couple of these. So if you're just expanding and want to add an extra 200 watt, you get that $179 kit. You get some extra wire because there's absolutely no wire that comes in it. And bam, you just, whatever you purchase, you can just add this to your solar array right now. Yes, they won't talk to each other. They might not all be super... Like for all your people who like to really monitor everything, it's not a Victron. It's it's not like a super high-end stuff. It's a very basic stuff, but it does the job. So, all of that being said, what's your opinion on this? Have I changed your opinion on the PWM controller? I thought I did, but when you take a look at facts, does it give you a new way of looking at things and say, you know what, maybe I'll give them a shot? Was this video helpful to you? That finally someone just talked about what are the difference of this, because there's really not much information on these. Is there anything else you would like me to test in solar or me to check in solar? Yes, I know I didn't do any load tests or anything like that, but if this is something you really want, I just thought it would be boring because, they would all show pretty much the same result if I was to plug the same amount of panel on them because, they're using the same technology. Let me know in the comments. On that note, this was Leeway Model. I hope everybody enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time probably that time for a train video. I think we're more than due now. See you around. Leeway model out.